Kudash, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Sabayath, meaning holy, 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 Lord of hosts. That is the prayer that the angels or the etheric beings, you can say, sing day and night to the Most High, Anu Elion El. Sing can be taken as a sound vibrational frequency. That prayer can also be said as a mantra. It's also said to remove any negative energy or ions from within the airways of the ether. Ether is ionized gases. Angels are angles of light. Entities are energies. These energies are triggered through the emotional particles of our being, through our thought process. Now, we're going to get the Yah-He, Vah-He. This breaks down the duality of divine masculine and divine feminine. The first Yah signifies the Father who art in heaven, Abba, the architect of the universe. Above. Below is He. He correlates with the divine feminine, which is the mother nature, the womb of the earth, where mankind was created, shaped, molded, and formed within a circle 360 degrees, where the breath of life was breathed into them through the soil, the earth. Va is the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is a divine masculine, which correlates with mankind itself. Mankind referring to male and female in duality, creating mankind. In the book of Genesis, also known as Bereshith, meaning the beginning, in the holy tablets, they'll say the generations of Isis. In the beginning, Elohim said, let us create them in our image. The three key things in that passage is Elohim, meaning plural, more than one. Us, create them, let us refers to more than one, a dual nature. In our image, our refers to more than one image, because God is eternal. God is within. We ascend to our higher selves of consciousness. The head is heaven. Our crown chakra, or on the Hebrew Sephiroth, Malkuth, the kingdom, That's how you reach God, which is the Christ consciousness. The last He correlates with the first He. Ana Chokma. Ana is the opposite of Abba. Ana means mother and Abba means father. Chokma correlates with wisdom. On the Hebrew Sephiroth of the Tree of Life, which is a Godhead, it deals with attributes, The right part of the brain hemisphere is the divine masculine side, where the left side is the divine feminine side that deals with, judgment, chaos, because whenever a judgment is rendered, it always comes to the nature of us or Mother Nature itself with natural disasters. But Chokma on the 10 Sephiroths, they start off as Kether, Chokma, Bena, Gedula, Jebra, Tiferet, Netzach, Had, Yesod, Malkuth. Malkuth signifies the kingdom. So this is where when people talk about the rapture is just a form of ascending or ascension. You know, you coming from a lower vibration to a higher vibration and frequency. As above, so below. The macro prosophis above and the micro prosophis below, because we are the microorganisms in the host of the Elohim. Or you could say, as the celestials are to nature, you know. Father who art in heaven above, as the mother who art in the earth below. So today I'm going to talk about these correlations, you know, in the second coming in an esoteric sense. So let's get right into it. Second coming. The second coming, well, first let's lay the foundation of what we know as God. God is in all things. God is not male, nor is God female. God is both. God is genderless, you know. And God is not God's name. God is actually a form of Satan of what you know in this Western terminology and ideology of religion, you know. God has a Hashem. Hashem means a name, you know. God in Hebrew, as we know, we're going to start saying Al-Kalun Da'al, because Al-Kalun Da'al refers to all, you know. The Elohim, the Elohim, as it says in the holy tablets, A-L, you know, where you get the word Allah from, arm, leg, arm, head, as it would say in the 5% God body nation, you know. And the Yod, He, Va, He, if you stack it on top of each other, the Y, the H, you know, you got the head, you got the shoulders, then you got the V under it, you know, the torso of the body, and the other H under the V, you got the legs, the human body, you know. So, the Messiah, a lot of his teachings, you know, like I always say, the Bible is written in metaphors, allegories, parables, and figurative language. Meaning the Bible came from the European word, the book, you know. And we all know there was a canonization period. Meaning it's when a group of individuals got together and they said they chose what would be added, you know, in the collective of these books, which is a bunch of texts and manuscripts, you know, that were written over different periods of times, you know, through different experiences. You know, it says inspired by the Holy Spirit. So individuals that had this Holy Spirit, or let's say they had the Christ consciousness, or they reached to their higher self of awareness. You know, they found the kingdom on earth within, you know. And as it tells you in the Kabbalion, as above, so below, as within, so without. So what is found within, it is brought out in physical. You know, just like spirit is to matter. Everything deals with duality. So that's why I always tell people, every thought leads to an action. You have to think and conjure something up, you know, the idea of something for it to manifest and materialize on this physical plane, you know. So as within, so without. So that's what the Messiah meant by I am in the Father and the Father is in me, you know. He said, he told the disciples, which means the disciplined ones, those that are disciplined, you know, and are connected to nature, the laws of nature, the laws of correspondence, the laws of cause and effect, you know, the dual nature of things. That's what most people know as their Torah, the laws, statutes, and commandments, the do's and don'ts, which would render judgments or salvation. As I always say, everything plays a key part, Just like in the Bible, they have a specific crystal or gemstone that is connected to each one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Which you would say Yisrael. Some people say Yasharala. But, so, these are dealing with colors. Stones, as we know, hold energy, Stones hold energy. That's why whenever you go to a graveyard, you always see a stone over a grave. Or if you read in other texts, it says Abraham's bosoms is the place where souls are kept until the day of judgment or day of resurrection, So, remember that. Stones hold energy, and every other practice, it talks about, well, in other cultural practices, they deal with a lot of stones, crystals, dealing with energy. Stones are a natural element that comes from the earth. Anything that is natural and pure, So, let's talk about the Messiah. Where was the Messiah from the age of 12 to 32 when he popped back up on the scene and started performing all these things? Well, in the Secret Book of Wisdom, which I have, it talks about that the Messiah inhabited the spirit of Sophia. And the Messiah during this time, the Messiah was in Egypt, Tibet, and India, He was studying, like with the monks, how to heal people, how to do these things with his hand. He was in Egypt learning these things, the secret mysteries and sciences, and Tibet, He basically went to every culture to get a piece of the puzzle. Because remember what I said, Al-Kalun all. Al-Kalun, which is God, is in everything. There's a piece of the puzzle everywhere. But religion's whole main job is to divide and conquer. You divide something into different groups. You single them out, and you put different labels on them. So you make them separate entities instead of a collective whole. So what the Messiah did was he went and learned a little here, a little there. Just like it talks about in the book of Isaiah when it talks about comprehending the Bible, the book. He said, read a little here, read a little there. So what you do when you read a little here and a little there, you find a consistency and pattern. So once you go into this culture, that culture, we're basically picking the pieces up and putting the puzzle back together as a collective whole. Because when you only have bits and pieces of a story or a narrative, it's not much that you can do with it. That's like why with religion, they only give you bits and pieces of it, but there's so more to be known about it, So during this time, he learned how to do all these different things. Now, point what I'm trying to make, that's why I always say that be open to everything and be attached to nothing. Once you attach yourself to something, you become subjugated to that one thing. It's like you're in a box, and you don't hear anything outside of that box. That's why a lot of people in religion, when you try to bring a new idea onto them, they get frustrated, they get mad, and it becomes debatable. It's these debates. Even if you are talking something of right knowledge, they don't want to hear it, because it goes against, what they were taught and the information that's within that box, that denomination that sect or whatever. You know, you got Protestants, you have Baptists, you have evangelists, you have Catholics. You know, somebody got to be right. You know, everybody can't be wrong, but my sector is better than yours. You know, it's Islam over here, it's Christianity over here. But my point, what I'm trying to make is, when the Messiah was on earth, they said that he was spiritual. He spoke against all religion, you know, the Pharisees, Sadducees. He was not about any religion whatsoever. There was not even Christians back then, you know. I'm going to tell you what Christians were before they became Christians. They were called Gnostics, you know. And if you go far back enough, you will hear about Etherans. So, Gnostics believed in the esoteric knowledge, you know. Just like the Bible is written in metaphors, allegories, parables, and figurative language, the knowledge in which they followed was more so knowledge of self, you know, coming in tune with the earth, you know. So now people are so confused, you know, people think anything that is of magic or magneticism or anything that will allow you to have abilities, you know, just like Christ had, Moses had, and, you know, all the patriarchs and matriarchs and prophets and prophetesses throughout the biblical stories had, you know. So anybody that can tap into those things in this modern day, they will always say it's magic and it comes from a negative entity. So it's basically mean that the righteous God, the agreeable one of the most high order, cannot give his people any type of power whatsoever. So they give praise to all these things as of the devil, you know. The devil backwards means live. The devil is an earth dweller. That's why the Bible will say that the world is given into the hands of the wicked. That's why you see 666, you know. A 6 is just an upside down 9. 9 is divine. Everything leads back to 9, you know. So 6 upside down correlates with Va. Va is mankind. So it's saying that this entity, this devil that lived, would be amongst the earth, inhabiting human vessels and people, places, and things, you know. So back to these abilities, you know. The Messiah told everybody, he said in the later time, he said, you will be able to perform the things in which I have and even work greater wonders. So does that sound like somebody that is a God in the flesh? What he was teaching was how you discipline yourself. You reach your higher self. You ascend. You come from a lower state, a state of being, to a higher state of being. You know, that's where the title The Christ came from, because he tapped into the Christ consciousness, the crystals, the secretion in the brain, you know. He brought that energy from that lower chakra up the spine, you know. It's like, that's why you always see a snake around the pole in hospitals and other things. But what it is squiggly lines going up the spine from each angle. It's like electricity. You have a negative and a positive charge. But this is the dual nature of what is within us, you know, as I said before in the video. And those energies, as the frequency is rising, you know, it comes through the pineal gland. The pineal gland opens up. So they said we only access about 10% of our brain. But what this allows you to do, as the frequency, the kundalini, rises up the chakras, the color spectrum, you know, that's why rainbows is important. And anything of original sort or nature, they pervert it. So that's why you see a rainbow flag on anything that is unnatural to nature, if you get my point of what I'm saying here, you know. So it's all about energy rising and ascending. This is where the concept, the rapture, came from, And when the Messiah, the Christ, Messiah means the anointed one. So now, this is what the Messiah meant by you basically talking about those in that later time preserved for that Pacific time will be able to perform the things in which he had and even work greater wonders. Because now he's talking about the elect. So if the Messiah means the anointed one, who's the anointed one chosen to perform these things, the elect are the elected ones to receive the Christ consciousness. This is the second return. This is the return of the vibration of that energy of that time coming back in this time in Pacific individuals known as the elect. The elect is said to be 144,000. So once you know about what do you call it? With numbers, it's called gematria. Gematria, everything deals with numbers. There's only 9 numbers, 1 through 9. When you get to 10, it resets back to 1. That's why you have a 1 in front of a O. And then you have, 1, 1. But the key is the combination of these numbers. These numbers are infinite, so you figure this is how you add numbers. Remember, it's only 9 numbers, 1 through 9. Anything after that, numbers reset, and so on and so on. So 144,000. This is how you would break that down. If you add 1 plus 4 plus 4, you will get 9. 6, the human anatomy. This is where the concept atom came from the atoms in the cellular structure of the temple, the host, and the vessels. They're made up of 6 neutrons, 6 protons. 6 neutrons, 6 protons. No, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 basically it's 6 of each, which will add up to 18. 8 and 1 is 9, So 1 plus 4 plus 4 is 9. Those zeros, you don't add them on because you can't add anything to those zeros. 9. So there are 9 ethers, that which make up our anatomy, The Son of Righteousness, the concept of the sun. No one really ever worshipped the sun. That's why they try to say that the Egyptians did in their culture. That's where you get the name Ra from, They were basically talking about the elements in nature, how they work together as a collective, That's where you get is Ra and El from. Isis, Ra, and El. Isis is a feminine energy or parthenogenesis of a woman, same concept as the virgin birth. Ra, the sun, the giver of ether, plasma. When a solar flare goes off and it comes to Earth, it's permitting plasma, also known as ether. When, like I said before, when you go to a blood bank and they take your blood, they want the plasma that is in your blood. That is the key thing. And this plasma from the sun, this ether, it has an effect on all living organisms on this planet. So, and Elohim, the Aloas, to correlate with the 7 planets, 7 astrological influences, Shabbatai, which correlates with Saturn. Saturn correlates with Saturday. Tezadek, which would be Jupiter. Madem, which would be Mars. Nogag, which would be Venus. Kokab, which would be Mercury. Shemesh, which would be the sun. Lavana, the moon. Shem, children of Shem, children of light. Samson's name came from child of the sun. The original name for Africa was originally Ethiopia. Ethiopia means the ether people, people of the sun. Carbon, melanin, the skin, hair like wool, skin like bronze. This is what the metaphor was talking about. It basically was talking about the original man and original being, where everything else originated from, To be a racist, it just means who is racing to the top. It's a race to see who keeps their bloodline the purest, because as the Bible would say, don't mix and mingle seeds, because mixed offsprings have mixed emotions, and these emotions, which trigger certain attributes, which allow specific entities, which I tell you are energies, to latch on, But, this is what the world has come to, So, just like when it talks about the 72 Hebraic names or attributes, you get 7 and 2, it makes 9. 144, 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9. There are 9 ethers. And what I'm saying, the sun, that's why in the Bible they'll say the son of righteousness, the life giver, and El, the correspondence to the planets, the astrological influence. That's why you can't find your guardian angel unless you can find your constellation. The energy that came through there, because angels of light are stars, and stars are considered angels of light, They move to and fro. These entities are energies. That's when it's talking about your emotions. In the Gospel of Thomas, which was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Messiah, he talked about how he was able to perform the things that he did. And he said when to become one. He was basically talking about when the thoughts and the emotions become one. Two have to become one. A dual nature has to come about for certain things to unlock. These are the keys, how you unlock the dual nature of things, That's why I always tell you, people, the Bible is a external, External means outwards. Outwards means physical, Physical means matter, But esoteric means inner, Inner essence, ether, spirit, and spirit is made up, it's housed inside of the blood, which is plasma, ether, ionized gases, and the 9 ethers that make up the human anatomy, a 9 ether being, which will create the original man, the atoms in that man. So, what I'm saying is, when the two become one, emotions, this is how you tap into magneticism, which people call magic, because it's when the two become one, in the same concept as when the celestials come together with the nature of things below. And when that happens, two are becoming one. The celestial realm is magical, and the physical nature of things is governed by what is happening above. It always happens in the stars before it happens on the physical plane. So how will you know the signs of the times? You will know by the signs and wonders, and the signs always come from above in the Shemayim. So now let's talk a little bit more about these elect ones. When you talk about the Bible, when you really read the Bible, it tells you that the elect will be the judges of the earth. When they wake up, it's basically talking about those valley of dry bones, the individuals that's a metaphor. It's talking about spiritually dead people, that didn't remember themselves. They lost all knowledge. They were literally at a dead state, because everything is governed by spirit. If you're spiritually strong and connected, your cord is connected to the earth That's why when they say grounding, you're grounding your feet into the earth. You're getting the earth's current, and if you're sun gazing, you're getting the currents from above, And the soil is key because soil correlates with soul. If you read in the book of Genesis, it said that we were molded from the soil, and the breath of life, which is ether, was breathed into us, and we became living beings, We're like a tree. Our veins in our hands, our arms are like trees. So let me tell you something about the chakras. I always tell people the root chakra is red, deals with survival and security. The sacral chakra is orange, it deals with passion and creativity. The solar plex chakra within oneself is yellow, it's just like the sun, and it deals with personal power and confidence. Now, the heart chakra is green. Now, why is the heart chakra green? Because the heart is where the blood pumps and moves through. You ever heard the concept of people saying that your blood is blue before it hits the surface or it hits the air? Well, in all honesty, spiritually, I know that's not the case. See, a lot of people, they call me blue boy. You see this? Because it looks like it's a blue vein or mark going through my eye. This is what you would know as eye pigmentation, pigment melanin. So if you just look at your veins are almost a green color because green is the pure color of ether. If you look at the North Pole or the Northern Lights, just like it said, the three wise men were able to spot the Messiah through the North Star, North Pole, Polaris, poles, in the process of this time of a pole shift, because it's an energy exchange happening, The Northern Lights, when you see the Aurora Borealis, it is green. Green is pure ether. The heart chakra is green. It's green because where the blood pumps, and inside of the blood, the ionized gases of ether, those electron charges and particles and cells and atoms. Now listen to all these names. Atom and Eve. Atoms within, Electrons, electrical charges. Chakras, swirls of energy going in a vortex. In the Bible, it tells you that the Messiah is coming in a cloud like a whirlwind. It's always talking about a vortex. A circle. When you see certain magical things, you will always see a circle with a bunch of lines going through them because they are symbols of nature. Like if you look at certain flowers, they make these certain patterns. If you put salt on a magnetic plate and play a Pacific sound hertz frequency, that salt will move and it'll move into all these different shapes, tetragrammatons, pentagrammatons, some look like flowers, but you'll see inner lines circling each other in perfect formation, The same way as the star clusters and things above, you will see them here below in nature. Now, when we talk about ether, ether could be spelled two different ways, E-T-H-E-R or A-T-H-E-R. But when you rearrange the letters of ether, you get heart. The heart chakra is green. And you can also spell earth out of it. What is the earth? Believe it or not, I am an earth sign because I'm a Virgo, And my astrological planet is Mercury, which is a dual nature planet. That's why you always hear about when Mercury is in retrograde. But I'm an earth sign. My star is known as Spica. Mercury is my governing planet, and we are earth signs. So, earth and heart, you rearrange the letters, you will get ether. Ether, in the 9 ether book, is said to be the breath of life. the energy state. Remember I told you, God is genderless. He's not male nor female, but it's collective of attributes. Angels are angles, angles of light. Entities are energies. Remember I told you the emotional state, the Gospel of Thomas, when the Messiah said, when the two become one. The emotions are key because which triggers certain things within, you know. That's why you should not make decisions based off of your emotions, but more so off of logic, you know. And your logic will become from what you know to be for sure, you know, as a consistency and pattern. And as I'm saying these things now, there's all types of orbs and lights flickering around me. That's how the spirit has been with me heavy these last couple of days, because I've been getting a lot of spiritual uploads, because it's the times. It's the times. I know for a fact these are the times. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And I'm back to ether. It can be spelled two ways. A-T-H-E-R or E-T-H-E-R. And some people even spell it A-E-T-H-E-R. But once you rearrange those letters, you get heart and earth. We were created in the earth. The mother, the divine feminine, 360 degrees, formed of the soil, soul, a breath of life breathed into us, pure ether, ionized gases, and we became living souls. It is said when you die, you strip from the meat sack, and the ether, the pure ether, it's like a gravitational pull, just pulls away, and it goes into the ether, because it's ether in the air, and it goes towards the light, you know, back to where you originated from, that star cluster of energy. That makes sense? But like the concept of the Antichrist, it's telling you that the 666 will be the mark of the beast. It was basically telling you it's the mark of the man. Religion, I told you that the Messiah preached against religion. He was not for religion. He was a spiritual being, you know. He had a piece of the puzzle from here, there, and everywhere. But as a collective whole, he was able to do the things in which he's done, you know. So religion, Antichrist, Christian, Christ, and I-A-N, rearrange the letters, anti, Christ, anti, Christian, Christ, anti, you know. Many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and deceive many. But the same people that took all the Gnostic scriptures and everything, and they burnt them. They were hanging people at the stake, saying people were witches. If you ever heard of the Salem witch trials, Salem is a prefix for Jerusalem, you know. So once you see it, hold on, I gotta close this door. But yeah, Salem is a prefix for Jerusalem. My baby crying in there, so I'm gonna close the door. But yeah, Salem, you ever heard of the Salem witch trials? Because anybody that was in tune with nature were able to tap into the natural laws of nature, or the natural abilities that are connected to the heart and the earth. Believe it or not, look this up. The exact hertz frequency of the earth is the exact same as the human body. So if Satan or Natas deceiveth the whole world, which is man, mark of the beast, 666 Va, you know, and people, places, and things, a land dweller, the nature, his job was to kill, steal, and destroy anything that is pure, which allowed you to connect to your higher self, or the Most High, you know. The Most High correlates with the Most High self of consciousness. And when certain individuals are all vibing on that same frequency, they are now a collective consciousness, the collective Christ consciousness, the return of the Christ within those elected individuals, you know. If you ever heard about heaven and it talks about, I'm going to prepare this place for you. My Father's house has many mansions. It's basically talking about many dimensions. And when you're in an ether state, you can move throughout many dimensions. Around before the Gnostics, they had people called the Etherans. You know, the Etherans, people that can tap into just pure light energy. You know, that's why magic or magneticism became banished throughout so many different places. These Salem witch trials, you know, concept of hanging people on trees, because trees hold knowledge, energy. You can talk to the trees and make trees move. You can stand and put your feet in the water, but you have to channel energy in order to do these things, because all these things hold energy. All four elements: earth, water, fire, and air. The fifth element is ether. Ether is what controls all four of those. And ether is within you, you know. Once you tap into your divine self, why you think when Moses came off of that mountain, he said, I am that I am. And it said that he was talking to a burning bush. What is fire? Fire is pure energy. And that pure energy is also ether, you know. You ever heard about the water, the souls being kept in the water? Because especially in oceans, salt water, they tell you that salt is bad. Salt will give you high blood pressure. But believe it or not, salt is where you get electrolytes from. Electrons. So anything that electrify you, they don't want you to have too much of it because it's a pure mineral. You know, salt is the key to many different things. You can clear your throat with salt. You know, if you put salt in your Pacific herbs and medication, it'll help you absorb them better. If you put salt in your water, it helps you absorb the water better. Because the way our bodies are set up nowadays with all these preservatives, toxins, and many things, we don't get the full nutrients that we when we think we're eating healthy, we're not fully getting it, you know. That's why the Bible says, take heed in the herbs of the earth for the healings of the nations. So, like I said, Christians, it means Christ anti-Christ, Christians. So anything that is against, you know, the natural order of things, you know, in which they created. They changed times and laws. We know when the Sabbath day is, but they change it to Sunday, you know. In the church nowadays, they'll say, come as you are. Just come in your most unnatural ways. No, because that means you're not disciplined. And if you're not disciplined, you cannot be a disciple. And if you're not a disciple, you know, you're not going to be able to master the laws of nature. So you'll take that rainbow and you'll present that as a flag, but that rainbow, those colors, that's why if you ever see a rainbow present, that means a Pacific energy, the Most High, is present or near, you know. So that's what it meant by Satan's job was to kill, steal, and destroy and deceive of the whole world. That means to put everything in reverse. So anything that was good, they was going to tell you is bad. And a lot of things that are bad, they're going to tell you is good. They're going to welcome them. This is how you can identify the attributes of a antichrist or Christ and Christ anti. You get what I'm saying? So, and the Most High, he said that in these last days, or the end of the age, because the world never ends, it just resets. He said, and when it resets, it just means that we're going from one dimension to another dimension, from a 3D state, some going to 4D state, some going to 5D state. But it's a new earth, a new heaven. You know, some will get stuck and stagnant in the same place, while others transition, and to be able to have specific abilities where they'll be able to live and reign 1,000 years in Christ, if it makes more sense to you, you know. All these superhero movies, like I told people before, just look at Marvel's Infinity War. Thanos was purple. Purple correlates with indigo, or intuition, third eye, or ultraviolet spectrum, crown chakra, Thanos. And what it says, what was he doing in that movie? He said he was decreasing the population to bring balance to the world. But what they show you in the movie as his concept, he was serving the greater good of all humanity and all planetary, life forms. But they labeled him as the villain. See, this is how things get put in reverse. And yeah, he had to come to he had to get rid of certain things off the planet. But it tells you in the Bible, it tells you that the Messiah is coming back with his garment dipped in blood. He said 2/3 of the population must go. And what was Thanos doing? Every time he had to get a specific stone. Each one of these stones had a different attribute to unlock a specific ability for him to go forth further in his dominance to achieve his ultimate mission, But what happened was they brought all these, earth dwellers or people with these made up powers. They didn't have natural powers to go against them, same concept. So anybody tapping into something of the supernatural, they're going to always tell you that it's of the devil, The devil is just the only one that can allow some type of power or anything good. So they're gonna trick you into thinking that everything that's good is bad and the things that are bad are good. This is the greatest deception of all. This is that anti-God. That's what Antichrist means. Antichrist means anti-God. Anything that goes against the natural laws of nature, Remember, ether spells heart and earth, That's why it's important that you meditate, you ground your feet in the soil, and you sun gaze, because that's where the pure ether comes from. That's why they'll tell you concepts like if you look in the sun, you'll go blind. They'll tell you if you eat salt, you'll get high blood pressure, but that's where the electrolytes come from. All these things are misconception. And the Most High, he said in these times, at this end of the age, he's going to wake these dormant, preserved ones up, and they're going to restore all the knowledge. And it's going to be something way far beyond what people were taught. But it's going to make so much sense, And basically, people are going to be sealed based on their own ideology and intent. That's why the Bible tells you, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, because it all lies in your hands, not as a group effort, People of God were judged as a collective whole because they were a collective consciousness at a time where the frequency was high, So, always remember the metaphors, allegories, parables, and figurative language. And remember that everything operates in duality. You cannot have one without the other. So if these individuals are only giving you one side of the story and saying, don't look over here, don't look over there, you should not trust them. It says many will come in my name and deceive many. So they will act like they are the good guys and the holy ones, holier than thou. And basically, they will kill, steal, and destroy. Just like when they came to Pacific lands, they came here, they befriended the Indians, and forced a Pacific religion onto people, A lot of slaves, they were doing voodoo. Voodoo is just another word for spiritual because it has a dual nature. Voodoo can actually heal you or it can unleash a judgment on you as well, But that is the power that all people possess, And people of different races, they possess it on different degrees, based upon their connection to the universe, so that's why, like, when they went in Haiti, they didn't want to really they didn't want to go in. Well, they wanted to go in there, but they were destroyed before they could even get in there, because the teeth were falling out. It was all these things happened to them. That's why they say, oh, they are of the devil, because they were able to tap into things that was uncomprehendable to them at that time, if that makes any sense. They'll say you're of the devil, you're uncivilized, because the natural way of things, with gunpowder, bullets, and just physical objects, that's how certain individuals seem fit. But when you are able to control things with the power of the mind, oh, that's uncivilized. That's wicked. We need to get them out of here. We need to burn them at the stake, burn them alive, hang them on trees. These are all concepts. Cut down the biggest trees, which now are like petrified and look like mountains. Trees hold Pacific energy. If you ever watched the movie Pocahontas, they talk about the spirits of the wind. Grandmom Willow, talking about the willow bark tree that was speaking to her. He said, if you just listen to the spirits of the wind. Spirits of the wind are the spirits of nature. Now look at Revelation 12 when it talks about this constellation, which we seen this constellation in September of 2017, and what it says at the other part of Revelation 12 is, it said the beast pursued the woman. The woman is the metaphor to the nation of Israel, Isis, Ra, and El, the collective. And it said that the beast pursued the woman in the wilderness, but the earth opened up and saved her. So it's basically telling you nature kicked in, the nature of things kicked in and saved, So that's why they say, oh, you go to a witch doctor, anybody that's dealing with herbs, but the Bible clearly tells you, take heed in the herbs of the earth for the healings of the nations, You have to be one with nature. They done severed the connection to nature. Just like they put rubber on a copper line that permits energy, they put rubbers on the soles of your feet. Soles of the feet and the soil of the ground. That's why in Africa and other countries, they'll walk around barefoot. They absorb the energy. Just like the sun can charge a solar panel, it also charges you too. Different degrees. Some people can come out at the hottest part of the day, while other people, they might have to come when sun is rising or sun is setting. But everybody has their time and measure to absorb this specific energy, if that makes sense, And everything is not for everybody, because some people take things out of context and, they use it in the wrong ways, That's why there are specific chosen people to do certain things to bring balance to the world. But everybody wants to be in the race to be the top dog. That's where racist comes from, But it don't matter which race you are. It's about your ideology and intent, Because certain people are going to cleave to you based upon your light, Some people have dimmer lights. Some people lights are on the verge of going out. That spark is not there no more. They're at a dead state, dead soul. You're soulless. So that's why it is very key people understand the dual nature of how this whole thing works, Ether is key. The 9 ethers to be exact, Ether is God. Those 4 elements. There's 5 elements, but the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. The ether is in you, in the heart chakra, the green chakra that correlates with the aurora borealis, the North Pole, North Star, 3 wise men, however you want to look at it. The anointed one and the elect ones. The elect ones, which inhabit what the first anointed one had, and is the Christ consciousness. The second coming is you returning back to you, your original state. That's why the Bible says, when the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. So the original one, the first, what is going to come in last in the reset process, but be the first, be how he originally was. So this is the second coming. That rapture is just ascending, you ascending back to your higher self. Salah, so be it. I'm out. Like, share, subscribe. This is real. I did this video just straight off the top of the head, as it's coming to my spirit, just showing you the correlations and patterns. There's ones like me all around the world. If you notice, we're talking on a higher degree of right knowledge, and we're going to make it make sense. We have that ability to do that. Salah, I'm out. Love y'all.